Get ready. Here we go. Yeah, I had to bring them
Remove
sound.
myself from the stage.
Okay.
You are tuned into the Literacy Hour with Test Taking Solution and your host, Dr. Kentrell Liddell, MD, MBA. The purpose of this show is to help mitigate health disparities, improving literacy related to health, economics, and education. For all your professional development, professional management, and educational support services needs, contact Test Taking Solution, where we're igniting success. Located at 2104 Thousand Oaks Drive in Jackson, Mississippi. Literacy is knowledge and knowledge is power. Thank you for joining the Literacy Hour.
Well, good morning. Good morning. Oh, man. I tell you what, I am so very, very grateful for Brother Larry Armstrong over at WMPR 90.1 FM, the voice, the true voice of the community. I can be assured that he will participate in my morning worship on Tuesday mornings. Man, oh man, Jesus' face will be the first face I want to see. You got me cutting up over here, Brother Armstrong. I had never heard that one. I had to go look it up so that I can play it over and over today. I found out that it was sang by this beautiful lady, Miss Candy Staton, and it's part of her album, Cover Me. It's entitled, Your Face is the First Face I Want to See. Good morning to all of you who are listening right now to the Literacy Hour.
You were there
Wow.
when I am lonely. You're there
You're there.
every time I needed a friend.
Every
I take comfort in your word every time I get weary.
take comfort. Lord have mercy.
And I know you'll be there to the end.
To the very, very end. Thank you, Lord.
Because when it's all said and done,
When it's all said and done, Jesus.
and my race has been run, that's when your face will be the first page I want to see.
Wow.
Oh yeah, hallelujah, thank you Jesus.
First.
You were there
You were there. Thank you, Lord.
when I had no one to talk to. All of my friends talk about it. Sometimes they got just a little too big for me, but I don't care about the things I've suffered down here on this whole earth.
Yes.
Oh, they don't bother me. No. You know why? Because listen, soon I'll be forever in your presence. I know you will be there, just waiting for me.
Just waiting for me.
And one thing I like about it, Candy, I want to say, Jesus' name will be the first day. Oh, I want to see. Oh, yeah, I know what you're talking about. Thank you, Doc. You see, Joe, you know what?
Listen, if you have not heard that song, the entire song, you listen to it, okay? You go find it. Your face is the first face I want to see. You can rest assured I'm going to be playing it over and over and over today. I love that song. Lord have mercy. I know that everything is going to be all right. And I want you to know it too. Everything is going to be all right. We just have to stay in God's will and have the courage and the faith to do what you know God wants you to do. It's hard sometimes, but we have to do it anyhow. I was asked to pray at church not long ago, um, and I just couldn't pass thanking Jesus. I prayed, you know how we usually start out. Many of us, we're gathered here today. We thank God for this and for that. I got stuck at the thank yous because I'm just so grateful for so many things. And this song, Your Face is the first face I want to see. I just want to stand there and just stand there. Boy, what a morning. And Brother Armstrong, boy, he knows me too well. Welcome to the show, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Literacy Hour with Test Taking Solution, either by way of our Foundation's YouTube channel or any of our affiliate radio stations, WMPR 90.1, the voice of the community being the flagship, serving the greater Jackson and surrounding areas right here in our beautiful state of Mississippi, and anywhere there is a reliable internet connection. How many of you know that it's good to get away from home sometimes and to visit other places, even outside the country? But boy, I tell you, that thing has an expiration date on it. And for those of us who love home, we can't wait to get back home. I just love Mississippi. It's a beautiful, beautiful state. And I've been some of everywhere. And this is just a beautiful place to be. We're mighty grateful for our dedicated underwriter, Mr. Damian Pickens. He didn't have to, but he does. Pickens Automotive Repair, making sure that the Literacy Hour is on the air. We appreciate him more than he knows. He does oil changes, you all, tire rotations, brake services, and tire pressure services. We want to patronize people who care enough to provide resources to the community. You know, I don't get paid to do what I do. I don't ask to get paid. But the point is, it's so very important that some of us be willing to roll up our sleeves and do the hard work. The hard work of researching, making sure that information is accurate and up to date, and bringing it to us in such a way that it's understandable. You know, I say to my friends, my closest friends, don't complicate things. We complicate a lot of things. Going through school, I was a straight A student, and I'm not saying that to brag or boast. I graduated the top of my class several times over, and I've gotten several credentials, several degrees. And it wasn't because I was so brilliant or smart. I learned a long time ago how not to complicate things. Just listen to the teacher, the instructor, the faculty member. Listen to them carefully. Study to show thyself approved, and then give them back what it is they've given you, but prove that you know how to apply that newly acquired information. Stop complicating things. We can complicate things. I'll talk more about that next Tuesday. Fourth Tuesday around here, we focus on mental health and wellness. And I don't know all the answers. I don't want to know all of them, but I do know one thing for certain. And that is that we can be less stressed if we stop complicating things. Again, tune in next Tuesday. Join me back here on the Literacy Hour. And I'm making myself a note to talk about that. I never know what I'm going to talk about, just so you know. Sure, I get a few announcements from people and they ask me to make this announcement or that announcement. And those that I really care deeply about and think that they're going to uplift our community in a mighty way, I make those. And there are some announcements you will never hear me make because I don't really know what's going on and don't know who's doing the going on. So I have to know and I have to be absolutely certain that uh, we're doing something to move the needle in a positive direction. So I'm grateful. I'm grateful for our supporters who help our nonprofit organization in very impactful ways. It's amazing to me that it seems, and I've shared some grant information, by the way, on our um, website as well as our Facebook and our Instagram, our social media. You can always uh, like us or follow us so that you can get this information as soon as we share it. You get notified that we just posted something. So that's Facebook and that's Instagram. And I see where our team is already on the job. Thank you, TT Solution LLC. That's that handle. Because, yeah, we founded the LLC much earlier than we did our foundation. We decided to add a nonprofit arm, like most big corporate businesses have, when there were people who came to us and said, "Hey, I want to sponsor a child to be able to take advantage of the services that Test Taking Solution LLC provides, particularly the tutoring services. We are professional management and professional development firm. We do a lot of trainings, grant writing, etc. But when people came to me and said, "We want to sponsor a child," are you a nonprofit? No, I'm a small business. I'm a small minority woman owned business. But I prayed about it and then sought out an amazing board of directors and went through the process of establishing the foundation's arm. That sole purpose is to enhance literacy, to help mitigate health disparities by providing us with education and information through community engagement, and our after school program, our summer academic enrichment program. I mean, just doing a lot of educating and informing through that nonprofit arm. And it was established in 2023 and has been going strong ever since. And we thank God again for Mr. Damian Pickens for his support of this community outreach by way of the Literacy Hour. We thank Mr. Dwight Evans, owner and operator of Evans Tree and Property Maintenance. We needed some property, some trees removed off of the property, some dead trees, and boy, he did a phenomenal job. He provides professional tree removal services. We didn't even know it was out there. I mean, we had scheduled and everything, but boy, he did it so quietly, so professionally. You didn't even know what was no tree was too big or too small. Mr. Evans, he knows how to get them gone. He and his team works very well together. They come out, they assess. The next thing you know, the tree is down and removed, all at an affordable price. So if you want to make your property safer, you want to remove some dead trees, no matter how tall it is, please call Mr. Dwight Evans. That number is 601 260 1046 for a free estimate. And I want to make sure you have Pickens Automotive Repairs location as well. It's over on Sywell Road, 4101 South Sywell Road in Jackson. The number that Mr. Pickens has shared with us to share with you is 943 900 2451. Today is Third Tuesday, and it's the Tuesday that we've set aside to focus on enhancing our financial literacy. We're focused on building generational wealth. We're focused on knowing how to access capital. Where are the resources? Where is the money? And how can we access it to improve our lives and the lives of those around us? That's what this Tuesday is about. The information shared during the literacy hour, either by the host or guest, is for educational purposes only. It doesn't constitute medical legal, financial, or tax advice. I appreciate that. Thank you all so much. You all are amazing. You encourage me, and I really appreciate your texts, your chats, your phone calls after the show. Feel free to interrupt me, though. Some of you say, Dr. Liddell, I don't want to call while you're talking because we might miss something. Well, I know how to pick back up where I left off. So don't mind calling in. That call in number is 601-714 test. That's 601-714 8378. Feel free to call in. For specific advice, though, applicable to your situation, I want you to contact a licensed certified professional. The tax deadline was April 15th. And if you missed it, I don't want you to fret. Remember, I told you now to stop stressing over stuff. Don't complicate things. Learn. And then be able to apply what you've learned. Okay. And so, for those of you who missed that April 15th tax deadline, the IRS extended the deadline for Mississippians to June 8th due to the winter storms that we experienced. You know, a disaster declaration was issued by FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, after that severe winter ice storm that knocked out power to thousands back in January. As of late February, the storm was estimated to have caused about $107 million in damages. And Mr. Rodney Fouché, he handles IRS media relations for North Carolina, South Carolina, Alabama, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Tennessee. And I heard him say that the relief applies to all 82 Mississippi counties. Yeah, that new June 8th, 2026 deadline. It includes filing your individual tax returns as well as your business tax returns as applicable to you and making any tax payments. That deadline has been extended to June 8th. If you don't have anyone to help you with your taxes and you have questions and you need help, get in your car or whatever automobile you might be driving or catch a ride if you don't have transportation, and get over to Brown and Ewan CPA firm at 308, that's 308 Highland Park Cove in Ridgeland, Mississippi. And there are some other CPA firms, I'm sure. Um, I can vouch for Brown and Ewing. They will make an assessment of your tax situation. They will get you taken care of before it's too late. You can also call them at 601 353 5423. These are resources that I love sharing with you. When I find that something works, when I find that something or someone is helpful and good at what they do, I'm going to let you know about it. All right. And I hope you do too. You find out or you realize that someone is very great at their profession, has a great talent that the listeners should know about, then call in and tell us about them. If you do happen to activate or retain Brown and Ewing CPA to help you out, ask to speak to either Mr. Mac Williams or Mrs. Wansley. All of them there are very good. I've worked with all of them in some form or fashion over the years. But Mr. McWilliams and Mrs. Wansley, I know will get you taken care of. Last third Tuesday, I talked about how veterans' disability pay is not taxed. Financial Literacy Tuesday, we spoke about veterans' disability pay. You know, just some of those topics that you rarely hear people talking about. Well, I want to share with you today that Social Security benefits are taxed, depending on how much you earn. You know, paying taxes does not depend on your age. Someone called me after last third Tuesday's show and said, "Hey, Dr. Liddell, I'm 75 and I don't have to pay taxes." Well, paying taxes does not depend on your age. I thank God again for CPA experts. I thank God for the Mississippi State University College of Business. That's where I attended business school, learned a great deal. My accounting classes were just excellent. I thank God for Intuit TurboTax as well. They do a great job of providing helpful information, especially during tax season. Um, and so you can find out more information on your own if you um, want to, and I hope you do. But I will forever share with you when I'm on the air and resources and information that you can use. So, when does a senior citizen on Social Security stop filing taxes? If the only income you receive is your Social Security benefits, then you might not have to file a federal income tax return. And the one big beautiful bill, it provides for an additional 6,000 that's $6,000 now of a senior deduction for anyone 65 and over. And that's for tax years 2025 through 2028. Let's be informed, you all. This deduction can further reduce the taxes that seniors have to pay. I'm mighty glad about that part of the bill. There are some other aspects of it I'm not excited about that I've heard. I haven't read that bill myself. I understand it's a very, very long bill. But one thing that does stand out is we do a lot for our seniors, and we should. They have worked hard. They have paved the way, and one day, if we live long enough, all of us will be seniors, and we will want to have access to many benefits to help us live a great quality of life. I just wonder why the powers that be, as they provide benefits for seniors and for the children, it can't provide similar benefits for those of us still in the working class, the middle aged people. Why do we get left out of so much? Of course, I have my theories, but I like to keep those to myself. I want to share facts with you all. But this deduction, this $6,000 senior deduction, it can further reduce taxes that some of our seniors have to pay. If you are at least 65, unmarried, and receive $17,750 or more in non exempt income, in addition to your Social Security benefits, you typically need to file a federal income tax return. And of course, our most recent tax year will be tax year 2025. Now, if you were 65 and married and would file a joint return with a spouse who's also 65 or older for 2025, you typically have to file a return if your non exempt income is $34,700 or more. Okay. Or $33,100 if your spouse is under 65 years of old. So it's a lot of numbers, I know. But it matters so much. And that's why it's so important that you have experts who understand taxes, the tax code, accounting, money, these numbers to help you. If the sum of half your Social Security plus your adjusted gross income plus your tax exempt interest and dividends exceeds $25,000 for single filers or $32,000 if you're married filing jointly, then a portion of your Social Security benefits is included in gross income for taxes. And you might need to file a tax return. I'm sharing all of that, not necessarily for you to catch every single point, although you can because it's facts. But I'm sharing all of that just to show you potentially how confusing it can all be, especially when you get into these terms non exempt and exempt. You can be reading and learning, and then some terms pop up that you don't know anything about. We encourage the scholars who attend our after school program and the summer academic enrichment program to stop right there when you encounter words you don't know and look them up and try to understand the meaning. If you still have trouble, seek help. Ask a friend, ask someone whom you think might know the answer. But to understand non exempt income, non exempt income. Yes, today is Financial Literacy Tuesday here on the Literacy Hour. Non exempt income. It refers to earnings that are subject to taxation. Non exempt means you're not exempt. That income is not exempt from being taxed. It includes your wages, salaries, bonuses, commissions from employment, interest and dividends from investments. Yes, that's why you have to turn in, which stocks do you have and how much interest or dividends did you earn from those investments. The IRS wants to know. Rental income from properties that you own is considered non exempt, not exempt from being taxed unless specific deductions apply. You heard me talk a moment ago about that additional $6,000 deduction for the seniors. Okay, that was a part of the one big beautiful bill, and that deduction is active for tax years 2025 through 2028. Deductions help to provide some tax relief for those who may need it. Business income generated from self employment is non exempt. Business income that you generate from being self employed is subject to taxation, is non exempt, meaning that it is not exempt from being taxed. It's non exempt and taxable. Taxable is subject to taxation. Certain government benefits that you might receive may be classified as non exempt income. Yes, it was a benefit, but some entities may classify it as non exempt income, that you got that benefit, but you made some income by getting that benefit, and it is non exempt, not exempt from being taxed. And that will depend on your jurisdiction. I know and realize, and thank you so much. We have some people listening in Chicago. I appreciate you and good morning to you. North Carolina, thank you so much. Texas, you see, anywhere you have an internet connection, you can listen to our YouTube channel. That's where we're streaming to you right now live from our YouTube channel, Test Taking Solution Foundation. And several of our radio station affiliates carry the show, which is such a blessing because they see the benefit and the good in the information that we share. And that's why I work so hard to make sure that the information is of the highest quality possible for you, for me. I love learning and I want to learn the right things, don't you? Now, that was non exempt income. Let's talk about, especially to those of you who have businesses, okay? Exempt employees. You have to classify your employees as non exempt or exempt. Exempt employees, what does that mean? They aren't covered by certain provisions of the FLSA. And if you are a business owner, you know FLSA, or you should know. And if you don't know, you're going to learn this morning. That FLSA, that's the Fair Labor Standards Act. Yes, it's a lot that goes into owning a business. You don't just one day say, okay, I'm going to open up a business. You say that, but then it's going to be followed up by a lot of steps. You have to get registered with your Secretary of State. You have to get an employer identification number, a federal employer, that FEIN. There are several steps you have to go through. Register with your Department of Revenue, et cetera, et cetera. And you have to follow the rules and regulations of the jurisdiction that you're setting your business up in. You have to get privilege licenses in whichever county that you might be establishing your business. There are several steps, and I'm blessed in that Test Taking Solution, our professional management and development firm, has assisted 12 people just in the last year alone in setting up their businesses successfully. And we've assisted some nonprofits. Have you all ever heard of Grandparents Really Do Matter? We helped to set that nonprofit up, and several others. And so there are steps that must be taken, and you cannot skip any of the steps. You cannot just think that you're going to set up your business and do well by skipping important steps. It's not going to work. You must be aware of the Fair Labor Standards Act. You must structure your business however you want to structure it, but there are several structures of businesses, and you have to choose the one that fits your business model, and that your board of directors or whomever, your leaders, your administrators, want to choose. But they have to be aware of the Fair Labor Standards Act. There are some standards. If you're going to have some employees, you have to meet some standards by federal law. Exempt employees aren't covered by certain provisions of those standards, whereas non exempt employees qualify for overtime pay. So let us not get it twisted. Now, we've talked about non exempt income being that it is not exempt from being taxed. It's taxable income, non exempt income. Non exempt employees. Now, why they use non exempt for both, I don't know. Sometimes, again, people like to complicate things. And so I have to find a way to break it down and make it easier for me to understand it. And you might be like me, that you have to find a way to better understand it. So non-exempt employees, they qualify for overtime pay. Sounds like they could have called that another type of employee, but it's called non-exempt employee. They're non-exempt. They're not exempt from being paid overtime. You're not exempt from being paid overtime. You are a non-exempt employee. You qualify for overtime pay. You must earn at least the federal minimum hourly wage of $7.25 an hour. And speaking of that federal minimum hourly wage, $7.25 an hour. Let me calculate that right quick. $7.25 an hour times, let's say you work 40 hours a week. That's $290 a week. Who can live off that really today? That's just almost an atrocity. Somebody needs to go back to the drawing board really quick, fast, and in a hurry and get that minimum hourly wage taken up. And I understand potential implications of it. I'm a business owner. Of course, I understand it. That if indeed the federal minimum hourly wage is increased, now that means that businesses are going to have to pay employees more. And some of us cannot, afford to do that. Why? Not because we don't want to. We lack access to capital to be able to do that. Or it could be that we have very slim profit margins as it is. And there are a myriad of other potential factors. But for today, exempt employees are not covered by certain provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act, whereas non-exempt employees are covered by all the provisions of the Fair Labor Standards Act. Some of those provisions include overtime pay. Non-exempt employees can get overtime. Non-exempt employees must earn at least a federal minimum hourly wage of $7.25 an hour. That's why when people tell me, and I really need to meet someone uh, who is classified this way, because some people tell me, Dr. Liddell, yeah, these people here in this restaurant or that restaurant, they don't make anything. They just live off of the tips. They make up their money on the tips. I don't understand that, and never have understood it. I haven't met anybody who can tell me that they are not being paid the federal minimum hourly wage plus the tips they get. You mean to tell me that some employers can actually get away with hiring somebody to bust tables or to wash dishes and not pay them the $7.25 per hour? That's the federal minimum. But say to them, okay, you're gonna come to work here and you need to get all the tips you can get because I'm only gonna pay you $3 an hour and you need to make the rest up in tips. S- I I have not validated that, but I hear it stated all the time. Guys, be careful what you're restating. Know know that you know before you restate things that you have not personally experienced or learned from a reputable source. I so anyway, non-exempt employees qualify for overtime. I had to classify my staff in the right way. I have to classify my employees the right way. Exempt employee, non-exempt employee. The non-exempt employee can earn overtime. They're not exempt from earning overtime. They must earn at least $7.25 an hour. But just because an employee is salaried or performs a specific task, that doesn't make their status obvious. I've had people say that to me that, well, because you're on salary, you're going to be exempt. Or, listen, eh, eh, the reputable sources, the Internal Revenue Service, says that just because an employee is salaried or performs a specific task doesn't make that their status obvious. You got to read the specific differences between exempt and non-exempt employees and how to avoid misclassifying somebody. To truly comply with confidence, organizations must recognize the differences among their employees. For example, you may already know that depending on where your business operates, it and your workforce could be subject to certain unique payroll taxes, for example, or reporting requirements. Yeah, when you open a business, there are certain payroll taxes you may have to pay in addition to making your payroll. Withholding tax, you withhold money from your employees' paychecks. You have to pay that money that you withheld to an agency like the Department of Revenue here in Mississippi. You can't just use that money you withheld as cash flow, use it to go over here and pay this bill or go over here and do that. When you withhold that money, you're withholding it for this agency. I've even had to garnish wages. I've gotten information from agencies that say, hey, this person owes us. And here's the court order we went and got. And your business now has to withhold, has to garnish their paycheck and then turn around and send what you withhold to us. That's a lot of work. Living witness. And the business doesn't get a dime for that administrative type work that doesn't get any sort of fee. So that's why I say when people put laws and rules and regulations in place, it blows my mind that they do not sit at a table with experts after having prayed. You see, I told you there are three ingredients you must have, at least in my lifetime. I've come to know this, that there are three ingredients you must have in order to do anything successfully. Number one, prayer. I just believe that prayer changes things, and I much rather talk to the one who controls everything before I start trying to do anything. I'm gonna talk it over with my God. Prayer, individual and collective prayer, is powerful. And then the right experts at the table. You can't get anything done all by yourself, especially not today. You must have folks that you can lean and depend on and trust to run things by, to strategize, to plan. Experts, and preferably somebody with some lived experience. Yeah, they may not have all the degrees and all the this and the that. If I didn't need it to go to medical school, I wouldn't have gotten some of that stuff. You don't listen, lived experience. I used to hear some elders say that boy, you cannot beat a bought experience. You can't beat what is it? Bought sense. Living life, learning through having lived. You will never forget those lessons. And we need those people at the table. They are considered experts because they've been there, done that, got the t-shirts. And I want to hear their perspective. I want them at the table. Test taking solution. We listen to our children. Our children are part of our advisory council. I seek their input on everything, not the payroll taxes, not the reporting requirements, not the business things that I have to do. But in terms of the services, I want to know from the children on the foundation side. Now, on my business side, I want to hear it from my clients. What is it that we can improve? What is it that we can do better? How was that experience? What else would you have expected or wanted? Constructive criticism. It's good. And so this morning we're learning about exempt, non-exempt. We've learned non-exempt income is what? Income that's not exempt from being taxed. It's taxable income. We've learned that non-exempt employees, they qualify for what? Overtime pay. They must earn what? At least the federal minimum hourly wage. And what is that federal minimum hourly wage? Nothing. I said it, and you can go tell whoever created it because it's an atrocity that the federal minimum hourly wage is $7.25 an hour. Who can live off that this day and time? But some people are. Some people are. And that's why we can't judge books by this cover. We have to be kind to one another and help people when we can, how we can, and just be good citizens. But when you open a business, there are several pieces and steps that must be considered, or you can get in trouble. Boy, am I living witness to that. You can get in trouble for doing stuff you didn't even know you were doing wrong. And instead of somebody coming trying to tell you, hey, we don't do it that way, Dr. Liddell, or don't or do it this, or give me this, and no, don't do that. Somebody would try to catch you doing something that you don't even halfway know that you're doing wrong. Why? Because your boss told you to do it, or you're following somebody. Listen. The literacy hour is here to help inform you of the right way because I've been there, done that. That when you don't know the right way, you can get trampled upon. Your whole life can get turned around. You out here, you're trying to do right. Some of you right now, I'm going to start a business, Dr. Liddell. Yeah, I started last week and I got this and this. Yeah, I got my EIN. All right, have you registered with the Mississippi Department of Revenue? No, I didn't know I had to do that. Have you registered with the Secretary of State's office? No, I didn't know well, you are not legally operating in the state of Mississippi. Doggone it, Dr. Liddell. I didn't know all that. You better get plugged into something that'll help you know. Because if somebody doesn't like you, if somebody is jealous of you, if somebody wants your downfall, they will find out that you're out there operating that business, whatever it might be, and that you don't have what you need to have. Yes, you need a license to do barbering. Yes, you need a license to do cosmetology. You out there at your house doing what you do, somebody turns you in, you will get into trouble. And trouble is easy to get into, and it's very hard to get out of. But I thank God for his grace and his mercy and how he loves and takes care of his children. You see, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. I've never seen it. He's always going to take care of his children, whose hearts he knows is in the right place and trying to serve him, not trying to do something evil, something crazy, something messed up, something fouled up. He knows. He knows. But boy, your enemies, they sit somewhere plotting your downfall. So stay plugged and stay tuned to resources like the Literacy Hour. We can't talk about everything in the 1 hour, but if you stay tuned, I can almost guarantee you're going to learn something that perhaps you didn't know, because I learned something new every day. Ask my staff, my team, they would share things with me. I didn't know that. Show me where you found that. Send me the resource. I want to read that reference for myself. They're used to it because that's just how I am. A lifelong learner. I'll never know everything. So now that's non-exempt income. That's non-exempt employee. What is an exempt employee? An exempt employee is a worker performing a job that isn't covered by the overtime provision. Yeah. I've been an exempt employee. You probably have been too. You can work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. You ain't getting a dime of overtime. You are an exempt employee. You're performing a job that's not covered by the overtime provision. Why? Most likely because you don't make the minimum wage. You make far more than the minimum wage. So you might be classified as an exempt employee. The best place to get the information that you need to know to properly classify your employees is the Department of Labor. It recommends that employers and employees closely examine if one's job duties are actually exempt and don't make any assumptions. Though the FLSA covers a majority of employees, it doesn't fully apply to some everyday occupations. According to the Department of Labor, the most common exempt jobs include commission sales reps, computer professionals, drivers, loaders, mechanics employed by like a motor carrier, farm workers employed by a small farm. These are common exempt jobs, meaning what? They're not covered by that overtime provision and that minimum wage requirement. They're not covered by it. Certain employees of seasonal and recreational establishments, executive, administrative, professional, outside sales employees. Okay. So there are some pros and some cons of being an exempt employee. In fact, the Department of Labor specifies that for salaried employees to be exempt, they can't make less than $684 a week. That's $35,568 a year. And that's, gone up. I mean, it used to be less than that. The point I'm making is the only thing constant is change. You have to find a way to stay informed. Now, let's talk about the Rural Health Transformation Program. Some of you have tuned in this morning because you wanted an update about that. And I did share last Tuesday that I would provide an update. But for those of you who are not aware of what the Rural Health Transformation Program, RHTP, Rural Health Transformation Program, rural, meaning in the rural areas, those areas with certain populations that are less than what the urban populations. Health has something to do with health care. Transformation got something to do with change and a program. Got something to do with some type of benefit that's been established. So Rural Health Transformation Program. That's briefly what it is, but let me bring you up to speed for those of you who are not in the know. Some of you, you've been locked and loaded on the Literacy Hour. You know what's going on. But for those of you who are joining us for the first time, and I see several of you have logged in, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much for listening to the Literacy Hour. Back on November the 4th of last year, so 2025 was when all this first went down now, Our governor, Tate Reeves, unveiled the Mississippi's Rural Health Transformation Program plan. That was November the 4th, 2025. He released a press release, and you can go find it. It's out there, I'm sure of it. But Governor Tate Reeves announced that the state of Mississippi had submitted its Rural Health Transformation Program plan. To whom? The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. I've been blessed to serve on some committees, particularly where home health is concerned, for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. That's what we call CMS for short. Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. It's a federal agency. So anyway, they developed that Rural Health Transformation Program plan and asked the states to submit a plan for the program. So on November 4th of last year, Governor Tate Reeves said, hey, Mississippi has submitted our plan. Mississippi's plan, which was developed with broad input from key stakeholders across the state. Now, that's the only thing, I don't know what that meant or means, but that was part of the press release, that the plan was developed with broad input, which would be the right thing to do, from key stakeholders, which would be the right people to include, preferably folks with lived experience, folks who have had to access rural health care. I hope they were at the table, he said, from across the state. And speaking of that reminded me that I didn't give you that third ingredient. I told you that there are three things we need in order to be successful or to achieve a goal. One is prayer. Two is having the right experts at the table, preferably some people with lived experiences regarding whatever topic you are researching, investigating, studying, whatever. And then three, you need adequate funding. And so that's what this is all about. The Mississippi's Rural Health Transformation Program is about putting the funding in place. So November 4th of last year, our governor said, hey, Mississippi is ready. We are releasing our plan. We're submitting it to CMS. That's what they did. And they talked about in the press release how it's focused on improving healthcare, improving patient outcomes for Mississippians, strengthening the state's rural health workforce, ensuring sustainable access to care for those who need it most. When fully implemented, the goal of the plan is to ensure that by 2031, that's 5 years from now, you all, every rural Mississippian will have reliable access to high quality healthcare services. Boy, that's a bold vision. Something that we haven't done before. That's mighty, mighty bold. And I'm all for it. Every rural Mississippian will have reliable access to high quality healthcare services. Well, take rural out. I want every Mississippian to have reliable access to high quality healthcare services. But for purposes of this Rural Health Transformation Program, we're focused on rural Mississippians. Okay? Because, the theory is that folks who live in urban areas that are closer to university medical centers like the one we have in Jackson, hospitals, specialists, that they already have access to high quality health care. But that depends on who you ask. Just because you live in proximity to those places doesn't mean you can access those places. That's why I say that whoever's sitting at the table, they must be experts that are able to think boldly and think outside of the box and to have some experience with taking care of folks. As a physician, I've taken care of folks across the spectrum, urban, rural, you name it, nursing home, delivered babies, you name it, hospital, clinic, VA, which was my favorite place to practice, as a matter of fact. But every rural Mississippian will have reliable access to high quality healthcare services, both in person and through telehealth, supporting increased access points in healthier communities across the state. And our Mississippi plan was broken down into 6 initiatives designed to benefit residents across the state. The 6 initiatives are statewide rural health assessment, Mississippi will engage a third party to conduct a comprehensive statewide assessment of rural healthcare needs, both today and looking forward 10 years. That's what the press release said, that we were going to engage a third party to conduct that statewide assessment. I'll be glad when they conduct it and release it so that we all will be able to know what is the comprehensive statewide assessment of our rural healthcare needs. There will be number two, the Coordinated Regional Integrated Systems Initiative, the Workforce Expansion Initiative, the Health Technology Advancement and Modernization Initiative, the Telehealth Adoption and Provider Support Initiative, and number six, the Building Rural Infrastructure for Delivery Growth and Efficiency Initiative. So, beautiful press release, very comprehensive, talked about our six-pronged approach to rural healthcare transformation. And just so you know now, $50 billion will be invested by the RHTP, Rural Health Transformation Program, between 2026 and 2030 to strengthen and modernize rural healthcare delivery across the states. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services will distribute $25 billion equally to approved states, with the remaining funds being allocated based on rural and technical scores. Then November the 5th, the very next day, the Centers for Medicaid and Medicare and Medicaid Services announced that all 50 states applied for the funding, every last one of them. And they said at that time, funding decisions will be announced by December 31st, 2025. And true to their word, the announcement came on December 30th, 2025. CMS announced that all 50 states will receive awards under the RHTP, a $50 billion initiative. Yeah, it was established under President Trump's Working Families Tax Cuts legislation. You can go check it out. And in 2026, states will receive first-year awards from CMS averaging $200 million. And Mississippi received $205,907,220. But let's just round it up to the nearest million. Let's just say Mississippi will receive approximately $206 million every year for the next 5 years. Unprecedented federal investment that's going to help our state. Well, April 29th of this year, I'm bringing those of you who have not been in the know, don't know about this amazing opportunity that's about to help turn around, help improve rural health care in our state, called the Rural Health Transformation Program. I'm just bringing you up to date. April 29th, we learned that Governor Reeves established the Mississippi Office for Rural Health Transformation Program. Yep. He thought it important to create an office to oversee the distribution of hundreds of millions of federal dollars aimed at improving rural health care. The new office will be overseen by the governor and led by certified public accountant Richard Grimes. Governor Reeves also unveiled a website he said will provide the public with a transparent and accessible view of the state's initiatives, funding opportunities, and progress. The website? Well, we're just 2 minutes before the end of our program. So for those of you listening by radio, you're going to be signing off in a moment. But for those of you listening by way of our YouTube station, Test Taking Solution Foundation, you're going to hear the rest of this timeline so that you know where we are right now with the Rural Health Transformation Program in our state. Thank you so very much for tuning into the Literacy Hour. Stay tuned, and you will hear on the other side the website that's been unveiled. You're going to hear about an oversight bill that was introduced in March by lawmakers to ensure that that program's millions of federal dollars in funding is directed toward the rural communities. You're going to hear about some of the contention that's going on right about now about this money. And then I'm going to bring you all the way up to speed to let you know about some grants, some RFPs, requests for proposals that have been released that have to do with this Rural Health Transformation Program. So again, stay tuned to the Literacy Hour by way of our YouTube station. That's Test Taking Solution Foundation. And we'll be right back.
For the past 1 hour, you have been listening to the Literacy Hour with Test Taking Solution and your host, Dr. Kentrell Liddell, MD, MBA. We are located at 2104 Thousand Oaks Drive in Jackson, Mississippi. Visit us on the web at www.testtakingsolution.com. Join us each Tuesday from 7 to 8 a.m. for another life-changing conversation here on our podcast live stream and affiliate stations.
A long time coming, but I know a change gonna come. Oh, yes, it will.
All right, and we are back. Again, thank you for those of you who are tuned into the Test Taking Solution Foundation YouTube station. And I thank my team as well. Thank you guys for being connected, staying connected. Follow me because we got a place where we need to go. I want to make sure that our listening audience is well informed. I already know because you call me after the show, you talk to me in the store, you talk to me at my office. You are brilliant. And I'm so proud of the fact that you want to be engaged. Stay informed, be a lifelong learner. For those of you interested in knowing more about the Rural Health Transformation Program, that's RHTP, we're going to continue talking about it right now. I brought you all the way up to date to April the 29th, and there's more. So, Governor Tate Reeves announced that he was creating an office to oversee the distribution of those millions, hundreds of millions, by the way, of federal dollars. We're talking 206 million. That's estimated. I mean, it's $205,907,220 given to Mississippi to improve its rural health care, to move the needle from where it is to where it needs to be. I love it. I'm so excited about it. I can't stop talking to you about it, and I won't. I told you that on this side, I was going to add to you, to the knowledge and the information that we're talking about, the website that has been unveiled. The website that has been unveiled. It is, are you ready? Get something to write with. Mississippi, and you know how to spell our state. M-I, crooked letter, I. Crooked letter, I, humpback, I. Mississippi, RHTP. See, I love it when folks don't complicate stuff. So the team that Governor Reeves has already assembled, they're my kind of people because they didn't complicate it. They just said it's Mississippi RHTP. R stands for rural. H stands for health. T stands for transformation. P stands for program. Mississippi RHTP.com. That's because they didn't have with us as we make the decisions. And it's up to you to stay informed. It's up to you to be plugged in to resources like the Literacy Hour to stay informed. Team, go ahead and put that website up for those who are watching by way of our YouTube station. That's Mississippi RHTP as in Paul.com. All right. Mississippi RHTP.com. It's the Rural Health Transformation Program, our state. It says that we have secured, 205 million. I see. So now that's a little bit different from what I told you. What was released by CMS is that Mississippi would be receiving $205,907,220. Round that to the nearest million, that's 206 million. But this website says that we have secured 205 million. That's a million down. So I already got that written down as a question. Where's that other million? And that other 900 and some thousand? That's a lot of money. But we've rounded it. Whoever did the website said that it has secured $205 million for the first budget. Keep in mind, we're going to be receiving this kind of money for the next, for a 5-year period. This is the first year of the 5-year grant through the Rural Health Transformation Program, part of a historic $50 billion federal dollar investment authorized by the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The intention of the program is to create a sustainable healthcare landscape that supports rural communities. And then you will see there on the website those 6 initiatives that I talked about this morning. You'll be able to learn about each and every one. What happens next? Timely distribution of funding. That is what they say will happen next. Timely distribution of the funding. And I know some of you are wondering, well, distribution to whom? Distribution how? And those are excellent questions because you are well educated. You know what to ask. So they must stay in compliance with the Federal Register, Part 200. That's their top priority, is to be in compliance and to be good stewards of this money. As program details are finalized, funding opportunities and updates will be posted. View each program title to learn what the program means for our state as Mississippi begins this work. So Mississippi is already started. We have the website, MississippiRHTP.com. All hands are needed on deck. I'm sure of it. Because we want to be aware. We want to be informed. Now, that was April 29th that this website, we learned that the new office was being set up and by the governor, that it's going to be led by the certified public accountant, CPA Richard Grimes, that Governor Reeves unveiled the website. He said it's going to provide the public with a transparent and accessible view. Lawmakers passed an oversight bill back in March, and there was some contention, some issues, some stress brought on by this oversight bill. And you can learn more about that bill by visiting Mississippi Today. You know, it's a Pulitzer Prize winning nonprofit news source, Mississippi Today. Gwen Dilworth did a great job, March 24th, 2026, of outlining a little bit about this bill. Legislature sends the Rural Health Funding Transparency Bill. That was the name of it. It was the Rural Health Funding Transparency Bill. They sent it to the governor's desk. Hoping that it will add oversight of the funding for state lawmakers who had expressed some frustration with the limited role they had played in the funding distribution led by Governor Tate Reeves' office. The lawmakers sent the bill to his office, to his desk, I'm sure, so that they could somehow get better and more oversight of the money, because this federal funding is directed toward rural communities, and the spending is going to have to be reported to the legislature. That's what that bill was seeking. It wanted to ensure that the money would be directed where it is supposed to be directed, and that the spending would be reported to the legislature. So that's summing it up in a nutshell what that bill was about. The bill was a diluted version of oversight legislation passed by both chambers earlier in the session. It would have required a competitive bidding process for the distribution of hundreds of millions of dollars given to Mississippi by the federal government. In December, according to Mississippi Today, and according to me too, because I read the same CMS press release that Mississippi Today read. It said in December, Mississippi was awarded nearly $206 million. That's exactly where I rounded it to. But keep in mind now, the website, Mississippi RHTP, says that we received $205 million. So there's a discrepancy right there. But we said, or we were told by CMS, that we would be receiving close to $206 million as part of the Rural Health Transformation Program. States will receive payments over 5 years as part of the $50 billion program designed to, I'm going to keep telling you, to support rural health care and offset the disproportionate impact already struggling rural hospitals are expected to bear as a result of federal spending cuts Congress passed into law last summer. Lawmakers publicly expressed frustration with the limited role they've played in the funding application and the distribution process because all of the process had been led by Governor Tate Reeves' office. And I know he employs people who can do this for him. I personally was thinking that Dr. Etney, maybe the Mississippi State Department of Health, would be overseeing or helping to distribute this money. And so Governor Reeves did post the state's program application on his website in December. So you can go out there and actually find the actual program application that Mississippi submitted. But don't be shocked now because the funding estimates are redacted. Yep, there are some redacted portions of the program. I have access to 5 other programs applications at 5 other states program applications, and they have no redactions in their applications. I have their entire application that they submitted to CMS because we're talking about taxpayers' money that CMS is we're talking about money that we um are are using to fund this program. And so of course um we're privy to this information. We need to know this information. I appreciate that. Thank you all so much. I love the comments. Thank you. So anyway, those other states did not redact any information. Well, our program application on Governor Tate Reeves' website has some funding estimates redacted. And that created some uncertainty about how precisely the money will be spent. So that's where our legislators started talking more about transparency and prioritization. And they did some amendments to the bill and back and forth. Okay. And the question became, has the governor already selected vendors? Has he already selected people to whom this money will be distributed? A vendor for professional accounting, auditing, administration, and consulting was selected in January before the lawmakers crafted legislation to increase the oversight of the funds. Well, and Governor Reeves had to act fast. Of course, he had to try to put some things in place. That's understandable. But also, the legislature's questions are also, understandable. The Department of Finance and Administration on January the 9th published a notice of intent to award a contract on behalf of the governor's office for assistance administering the funds, showing that the highest score was awarded to state and local government consulting firm BDO Government Services, formerly known as Horn. Respondents had less than a month to respond to the request for qualifications. The contract went into effect the same day, according to the notice. The contract does not appear in the Department of Finance and Administration's online registry of state contracts. Wow. Man, I'm going to start praying today, and I hope that you all do as well, that we as a state and that all of our leaders truly focus on improving rural health care. And to do that, I agree with the governor's first initiative that there must be a statewide assessment done to see where we are regarding the quality of our current rural healthcare system, right? But we need to have that first. We need to know where the problems are first. We need to know where the problems are first so that we know where to address our interventions. So having an accounting firm already appointed is a good thing. They can go ahead and start making account and helping us to be accountable for every penny that is spent. If I could talk to that accounting firm today, I would say, hey, I thought we were going to get approximately 206 million. Why are you all, not you all, but why is the website of transparency showing that we got 205 million? How we got cut 900 and some $1,000? That'll be my first question. First of all, take account and make account for every single penny that we receive. And what bank is it in? Is it receiving interest because we'll be able to do some things just based off the interest that that kind of money would receive. Anyway, there was a lot of back and forth between the legislators about strengthening the oversight of the process. So all of that was happening back in March. And then April, I told you the governor established a Mississippi Office for Rural Health Transformation. In another press release, Reeves said that the funding will be subject to oversight. That's right. So already CMS is providing some oversight too. So Governor Reeves is right on target with that. That, hey guys, CMS is going to be providing oversight as well. We're not going to get this money tied up in all sorts of different levels of oversight and regulation. We got to get this money out to the rural healthcare providers and entities that help to improve rural healthcare. We got to get it out there fast, quickly, efficiently. And that's why he set up the oversight office, the Mississippi Office for Rural Health Transformation Program. He put somebody over it, a certified public accountant, Mr. Richard Grimes. What else? He unveiled a website. Okay. And I'm sure some very good expert is going to maintain that website and keep it updated. I really hope they do. And what else? The state's program budgets are currently being reviewed by CMS. That was the word as of April 29th, that our program budgets are currently being reviewed by CMS. Now, how long this review takes, I don't know, and no one said. Mississippi's budget has not yet been approved according to the state's program website. According to the website, information about how to apply for funding will be posted once details are finalized. So I don't know how long that would be. But according to the website, how to apply for various funding streams will be posted right there. Well, the $206 million awarded to Mississippi must be spent by September 2027, or it's going to be redistributed back to some other states, according to CMS. So they're going to take it and give it to other states in need if we don't spend it by September 2027. Now, that shouldn't be a problem because we have a huge need where rural healthcare is concerned. Now, here's the only issue I have, and then we'll call it a day for today's episode of the Literacy Hour. We were told, or are being told, that the funding opportunities and requests for proposals, requests for qualifications, etc., are going to be posted to the website. I did not see where an RFP that the Mississippi State Department of Health has already released. They released it Friday, May the 8th. Okay, Friday, May the 8th. The Mississippi State Department of Health released an RFP, a request for proposal, seeking a qualified vendor to assist with the development and publication of the Mississippi Comprehensive State Health Plan. Yeah. And I think this has a lot to do with that Rural Health Transformation Program, but this was not put on the Rural Health Transformation Program website. The Mississippi State Department of Health release it said this statewide planning document will provide a data-driven, forward-looking assessment of the health of Mississippians and the capacity, structure, and projected needs of the state's public health and healthcare systems. So they didn't say that it's providing an assessment of the rural healthcare system, but of all of our public health and healthcare system, designed to promote statewide alignment with the department's mission to protect and advance the health, well-being, and safety of everyone in Mississippi. The plan will serve as a foundational public health and healthcare planning resource for MSDH and other state agencies, healthcare providers, community partners, and external stakeholders. You see? So the MSDH has released an RFP seeking a vendor to provide a forward-looking assessment of the healthcare Mississippians and the first initiative of the governor's plan under the Rural Health Transformation Program. is to seek a vendor to provide an assessment of our rural healthcare system. So I was hoping that this MSDH RFP will align with that first initiative and be posted to that website. That's what I was hoping. But someone might say, well, the two don't have anything to do with each other, Dr. Liddell. Listen, I'm a physician. There are not too many things you're going to be able to tell me about healthcare and medicine that I don't know. I've been extremely well trained, and so have my colleagues in this state. We're not dumb. Too many times people have taken physicians, they're too busy. They so busy, they don't know how to keep up with their money and keep up with their this and their that. Please don't believe that. We keep up with everything. Okay. So now we got the MSDH releasing an RFP. Ain't releasing it. It has released. It released it May the 8th. And they're looking for a vendor to assess the health of Mississippians, the capacity, the structure, the projected needs of the state's public health and healthcare system, the whole system. The contractor will work in partnership with MSDH to do these things: to develop a statewide health planning framework and process as further detailed in the deliverables section of the RFP, to provide MSDH with a data-driven third-party assessment of Mississippi's rural healthcare system. Let me say that again. The qualified vendor they're looking for, will provide MSDH with a data-driven third-party assessment of Mississippi's rural healthcare system, identifying access gaps, workforce needs, priority challenges to inform actionable evidence-based policy and planning recommendations. They will review and incorporate relevant findings from the 2022 State Health Assessment and the State Health Improvement Plan, known as SHIP, to ensure continuity, alignment, and evolution of long-term statewide health planning objectives, assess the alignment of statewide health system needs, strategies, and priorities with relevant federal program objectives. For example, Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. So no, they did not state the Rural Health Transformation Program. But guys, this seems to be well aligned with the first initiative that Governor Tate Reeves was talking about, to get this very broad, very comprehensive view of our rural healthcare system. But it's not posted to the Mississippi RHTP.com website. And it needs to be. Because if they're seeking a qualified vendor, then we want as many qualified vendors as possible to apply for this request for proposal, to put in a bid, to put their plan forth so that they too can be considered. The goal of the project is to develop and publish a statewide planning document that provides a data-driven, forward-looking assessment of the health of Mississippians and the capacity, structure, and projected needs of the state's public health and healthcare systems. They're looking for someone who can provide us an overall third-party assessment. The agency desires to contract with an experienced vendor that possesses the necessary abilities and resources to provide the services specified within the RFP. The agency seeks to enter into a multi-term, firm fixed price requirements contract. I want you to stay informed about all things that could potentially help improve our lives. And this one is big. The Mississippi State Department of Health, I'm so glad to see them involved, but they're involved on the side, it looks like. They need to get directly involved. Somebody needs to put MSDH at the forefront of this rural health transformation program. And you saw in 2022, they've already published a statewide health assessment. So we're going to do another one now in 2026, which is great. And this RFP is going to make sure that the findings are well aligned with the state health improvement plan that we already have. Sounds like we're trying to reinvent the wheel, but it is what it is. I'm mighty glad that MSDH is involved because they know healthcare. They're experts over there, and they're led by an expert, Dr. Daniel Edney. They have programs over there that can help improve your lives. One that I am ecstatic about is the breast and cervical cancer program. That's right. It helps to provide women ages 40 to 64 with access to free breast cancer screenings, including breast exams, mammograms, free. If you don't have insurance or if your insurance won't cover these exams, the breast and cervical cancer program will. Ages 21 to 64, access to free cervical cancer screenings, gynecologic exam, pap test. I'm going to continue singing it from the rooftops because I have seen the work of this program and the great, great benefit it is to so many women's lives. I've seen it firsthand. Early detection saves lives. Listen, you all, I got about 5 minutes. I'm wanting to spend about 30 minutes on this side telling you more about that RHTP program. But I will be remiss if I don't tell you, continue to encourage you to know that we are Mississippi strong. We have a lot to be proud of. I want everyone to continue to support a fine Mississippi gentleman as he plays for the NFL and pray for his health and strength. This is Financial Literacy Tuesday. This man has helped to give back to his community. He has built generational wealth already. He is building it for his family, doing a great job. And we talk about those things on Financial Literacy Tuesday. But he's continuing to represent the very best of Mississippi in the NFL and to give back to his community. Team, you know who I'm talking about. Go ahead and put him up there. That's Jeffrey Simmons, number 98 of the Tennessee Titans. Jeffrey Simmons, Tennessee Titan, number 98. He is always supporting the Noxubee County Tigers. He's supporting the people of Noxubee County, specifically Mississippi in general. He is Jeffrey Simmons, number 98. The date that Mr. Simmons and the Tennessee Titans will play their season opener will be determined when the NFL releases their full schedule later this month. We expect that schedule to be released this month, May. Major things have been taking place in mid-football season for Jeffrey Simmons. I tell you, he had the Walter Payton Award, the Local Star Awards, and so many other recognitions. The Walter Payton Award now, you know, hey, that's one of the most prestigious honors given in college football. And that's in honor of the legendary NFL Hall of Fame running back who played at the I Love Jackson State University. But Jeffrey is just a cool dude. He's such a nice guy. He and his team are currently planning the annual Fun Day for the 4th of July in Macon. That's Noxubee County. That's his home. And that's why he's loving on it the way he does. And I want to make sure everybody knows. Jeffrey Simmons' annual football camp will be held in Starkville, Mississippi, July 10th. The children who attend our summer academic enrichment program are going to have an opportunity to meet and greet and hang out with Jeffrey during that annual football camp. We're mighty glad about it. Thank you, Jeffrey. You guys can follow Jeffrey Simmons on Facebook. Jeffrey Simmons, number 98, Tennessee Titans. Want to thank you also for your prayers and support of my son, Joshua Liddell. Go ahead and put him up. Let's thank you guys so much for being on it for me. So go ahead. Joshua Liddell, as he continues his journey, he's becoming a heavyweight boxing champion. He's serious about the sport. He lends his expertise to our foundation's recreation and fitness program, and he assists us with special projects. He's a member of the United States of America Boxing Association, and his last boxing match was in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and that was earlier this month. He won. Yes, he won. Yes, Mr. Joshua Liddell has proven once again that he is the real deal with power, skill, composure, a beautiful jab, and a mean right hand, if I do say so myself. He scored a knockdown and controlled the match from start to finish just like a seasoned fighter. A strong performance by a talented boxer whose hard work is clearly paying off. That's what they wrote about Joshua, and he's just getting started. I know. He's on a winning streak, and we're mighty Mississippi proud of him. We're praying for his safety during the matches. There are not many heavyweights, and Joshua is coming along. We're so excited, man. Barring any major injuries, I'm predicting a heavyweight boxing champion hailing from the beautiful state of Mississippi at some point in the future. You can follow Joshua on Instagram, Liddell601. That's Liddell601. Or you can view some of his fight footage on my Facebook page, Kentrell.Liddell. That's KentrellLiddell. That's my Facebook page. You'll just scroll down. I don't put much on there. I'm quite busy, but I do find time to post his fights, his matches whenever he has done one, win, lose, or draw, because he's not going to win all of them. That's me talking. I mean, he might have the goal of winning all of them, but we know how life goes. And he's just a good sport. Joshua shows up and he shows out. I know that we're focused on following athletes who are on a national stage, like the National Football League or the United States of America Boxing Association or the like. But there are a few local Mississippi athletes whom we're following as well. I introduced one to you a few weeks ago, someone who is really inspiring the scholars at Test Taking Solution, where he serves as our community outreach specialist. One of them, at least. Melvin Collins Jr., born and raised in Terry, Mississippi, a graduate of West Kentucky University, now pursuing a master's degree in business at the I Love Jackson State University. He's interning under me here at Test Taking Solution LLC, and he too is coming along very well, learning all those business concepts, tips, and tricks. I love it. Jackson State football, Melvin Collins. He's on that O-line. At the recent JSU spring scrimmage football game, he debuted as an offensive lineman and pretty much proved that he's going to be on fire for the JSU's offensive line. His jersey number is 77. Yeah, I know you all love that 77. I see it on so many shirts. I said, wait, are they what is this now? He's already. No, that was the year that college was founded, is what I'm being told. But his jersey is number 77, and currently he's training for the first football game of the season, which is scheduled for August the 30th in Jackson, Mississippi. That's going to be the Hope Labor Day Classic. We're praying for his safety and the safety of all of our JSU Tigers during the games, and barring any major injuries, I'm predicting that he'll go all swag. So follow MJ on Instagram. It is Mail.Collins Jr. Mail.Collins Jr. If you know of any other athletes currently playing, representing our state on a national scale, who hail from Mississippi, born and raised, please call in and let me know about them. Now, don't let me have to hunt the person down. If they're as good as you say they are, you should be able to point me to some footage or some stats somewhere. So make sure that when you share their name, you also share a resource that can help us keep up with them, and then we'll watch from there. 601-714-8378. We are Mississippi Strong. Tune in next Tuesday when we'll be focused on our mental health and wellness right here on the Literacy Hour.
For the past 1 hour, you have been listening to the Literacy Hour with Test Taking Solution and your host, Dr. Kentrell Liddell, MD, MBA. We are located at 2104 Thousand Oaks Drive in Jackson, Mississippi. Visit us on the web at www.testtakingsolution.com. Join us each Tuesday from 7 to 8 a.m. for another life-changing conversation here on our podcast live stream at affiliate stations.
A long time coming, but I know a change gonna come.